Emancipation Day, everybody. It is Monday, Core Conversations. Dad goes as always. I'm Martin, and thank you for joining us. We do this Monday to Fridays, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, and it's been a good weekend. Hope everyone's doing well. And we're going freestyle today, so I have no guests but you, and I'd love for you to jump in, join us on the screen. Helen Hayes, what's going on? And it's gonna be a fun day today. I have some things to talk about. I have some really fun guests this week, interesting guests, and funny enough, no Pilates people this week. Interesting. There is no Pilates on the schedule this week, except for you, Helen. All right. Just putting fitness professional. Today's question is for the fit pros out there. Who inspired you to movement? Who inspired you to become a fitness professional or Pilates instructor or whatever that you do? And there you go. Sending a few notes here to some people. It's a Freestyle Monday on CC. Benjamin, how are you, my friend? Palermo. Hope everyone's doing well. It's a holiday here in Canada, so I should be at home just getting out of bed right now, but this is just how I roll. I'm a morning person, and so I just got up, had a couple clients already, and we're just chilling. So I figured I'll just do a freestyle today. Jump in, and right out the gate, Jane Fonda, awesome. Who inspired you to move? And I would love for you to come on screen if you are dressed West Coast people and awake or out of bed, and want to jump on screen and just share who was the first person to inspire you to become a fitness professional or to get into movement and to fall in love with it, which became the catalyst for eventually making this your life career. I'd love to hear some of those start point stories. So if you're down to do that, just hit me a little request to join on screen, or you just put it in the chat section, we'll talk. And then I have a few other topics and things I want to bring up as well, but I'll give this some airtime first because I was just thinking about that. I had a few guests last week who were really great in terms of flipping the script and asking me questions. So twice last week I sat back as I was being questioned by them. How did I find movement? How did I find Pilates? What got me into this field? That sort of thing. So I share the story all the time, but as I was preparing for this morning's chat, I was thinking about how it is that I was basically just listening to myself say the story. And how has the story changed over the years? What pieces of the story do I put into it? Jason Williams, how you doing? I'm going to talk about your book in a second. And Tammy. Um, so yes, if Benjamin, I see you there. Jason, if you guys are free, I'd love for you guys to come on screen. I can have up to 4 people on the screen here. I just want to talk about who was the first person who inspired you to movement, made you think that this could be a career, that you can make a living out of this thing that you're doing for fun, that sort of thing. Who inspired you to move? Give me a thumbs up if you'd like to join me. Jason, Ben, Pete, let's get some Pilates guys. Funny enough, I was saying just before you guys got in the room that of all my guests this week, I have no Pilates people all week. I have an author. How many of you guys, show of hands, okay, I'm going to go old school on you guys right now. I'm going to go old school. Okay, Jason, actually, I'll bring him on first. I'll bring Jason on, and then we'll talk about this book thing. Ben, you good to go? Okay, cool. I'm going to bring you gentlemen on. Hey, what's going on, man?
Hey, what's going on?
Show, man. Good to see you. And there's Benjamin.
Just for a little bit.
Yes. Have you guys met? Benjamin, did you guys know
We
each
have
other?
not, no.
Okay.
I'm following this gentleman for sure.
Very cool. Yeah, it's so funny. I don't know, like I feel like I'm the rookie, right? So I'm coming in here and I'm meeting people, and then I talk to one person, realize that this person trained with this person. The number of people I've come across that train with you at some point, Benjamin, is pretty cool. The number of people that have seen this book and now know who Jason is and make the Frankie Fitness connection is pretty cool too. So I got to talk about this book. I know, Benjamin, you got a minute, so I'll ask you about the fitness question first. And then I have this book from another friend of mine who's a dietitian. And do you guys remember an old school hip hop song called Let Your Backbone Slide, Maestro Fresh West?
Barely.
Barely?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm drawing a blank.
All right, he's a Canadian guy. So he's written this book called Stick to Your Vision. So I'm going to talk about all these children's books that are coming out, which are pretty cool. Benjamin, so movement, who inspired you? Who got you thinking, okay, I can make a job out of this? This is something I could do.
I mean, for me, it was honestly my dance teachers. That's what came to mind for me when you posed the question, and it brought me back to a really happy place. To be honest, to just kind of like think back of the first time that I accepted these people, not just as, people that were just doing their job, but they made me a new human being. They brought me to a new level of understanding myself. I feel like movement has, and I'm sure this is true for most of us, made me a full person. It was missing up until that point, and I felt in those classes that I was able to do anything. I could fly. It wasn't just movement or exercise or fitness, and that always stayed with me, and that was always my main motivation in entering this field. And just, if I can inspire somebody else to feel like this about themselves for this moment, even just half as much as these people have done it for me, then that's what I want to do with the rest of my life. It was just crystal clear, and it had very little to do with fitness and exercise. It was just all about understanding myself somatically and just being like, oh, I'm a moving body before most other things.
Yeah. You almost can distill that down even one more level and just say, like, I felt good in my body, and because I like people, I want them to feel that good too. And this
100%.
this is the language. This is the medium. This is the vehicle, however you want to put it. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. It transcends the perceived benefit of what it means to spend an hour doing X, Y, and Z, and more into, becoming. You're becoming a moving body, and you're tapping into a different part of your intelligence, and you are expressing yourself creatively, or, and maybe not always when it comes to exercise, you're just following instructions for the most part, but even within that, you allow yourself to move in ways you otherwise wouldn't, and the impact that it has on your whole soul personality is just
Yes.
what inspires me the most. I was once quoted after an interview where I did a really bad job just explaining my philosophy, and I think the headline read, Pilates guru who hates exercise, because I was really talking
Oh
down
yeah.
about like I actually don't like to exercise. I love to move. Like that's how I identify. Like I
Yes.
exercise because that's a side effect of moving and moving in constructive ways. But for me, that piece, like feeling inspired to move, is just the number one thing. Whatever
Yeah.
else happens after, it can be dancing, it can be just, it can be anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Good stuff. Yeah. Jason, what would you say? Who was your first person who inspired you to move in that way?
Yeah, I would say when I first started training, as soon as I graduated college, went back home to Bel Air, which is about 30 minutes north here in Baltimore. I met a guy at a gym called, his name was Bubba. This guy was like, he was another black guy, but he taught literally everything at the gym. Uh,
Okay.
Pilates, he taught dance. He did group exercise. He personal trained. He taught kickboxing. He did stuff with kids. He was like that. I was like, that's the guy. I want to kind of be like that. So he taught me
Yes.
about to always keep educating yourself. Always
Yes.
keep learning, always keep and with fitness, it's awesome the world that we're in. There's so much you can do with it. You be so creative, and that's what it's about. I think is just kind of using your creativity to build on whatever it is you want to do, especially depending on your passion, right? So
Absolutely.
yeah, I mean, just seeing that. So I was very much an observer when I was and still am coming up. So I was just watching him and saw what he did, and I mean, he worked all the time, but you could tell he loved what he did.
Yes.
Also,
Hey,
like
Leslie.
when he was like over 300 pounds, and then now he was
Yeah.
like not 300 pounds, and it's like to see him and that to like
Yes.
really love what he does was amazing. So yeah, I would say he was probably one of my first mentors
Yeah.
slash guys I really like looked up to.
Aspire to. Yeah. And
Everybody
then,
loved
and
him.
you have, I mean, you have like so many hats that you wear too. Do you think that's part of it too? Like this guy had so many tools in his toolbox.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, and then I think that's the thing. And like, you can have your niche, I guess, and but you also it's nice to always kind of just learn other things too. Just to, and again, you don't have to be a master at everything. I think we talked about that.
Yes. Yes.
But you can. It's just nice to learn and have some type of background behind it or know about it, so you can educate other people on who to send who where to and that kind of thing.
Yes. Right. Exactly. Yeah. It's interesting. Um, Ben, Benjamin, when you have to jump off, like, feel free to just jump off. I don't
Shortly,
want
yeah,
to
yeah, I
hold
will.
you hostage. So I was thinking, I had a client, sorry, a guest last week who was talking about competition, and I don't want to slight him in any way, but we get into this place of um, like this cancel culture and this inclusive language and stuff, and I'm noticing that there's certain words that are becoming vilified in the midst of it, and one of the words is competition.
Mm,
And so when I think about my kind of exercise history and how I found Pilates and all these things, it was the competitive nature within me and within it that drew me to it. Like I was really challenged by it. It the class kicked my butt, and I wanted more of this. I wanted to beat it in the way that it beat me. That's the way that I'm wired. So where some people would feel that it was unwelcoming or discouraging, my competitive athlete background brain was like, no, you beat me today. I'm coming for you tomorrow.
mm.
So I fear that when we start to say things like we can't have competition and everyone is welcome and things like that, that there needs to be a place still for the person, for the people that like, for the Martins out there that are like, that play sports and still want to be active and want to be challenged in a new way and want to find a way to compete against themselves
Right.
in it. And that was part of me finding it. So I don't know, what's your thoughts on that?
I don't know. I've always had a funny relationship with the word competition. Like I never thought
Mhm.
of it as a bad thing or as a, positive thing either. I'm probably doing a really bad job now paraphrasing Seth Godin, but he said something along the lines at some point of only you can say the things that you have to say in the way that you say them to the people that you can reach. And, if you let that sit for a while, I feel like there is no such thing as competition. It's just about clarity of what your niche is and where your talents lie and what impact you can have on what people that are in your environment and so forth.
Yeah,
and
right.
with that, it's like I want everybody to hone in on that and do their thing. And then I cannot see them as competition in a negative way. So my thing is almost to de-vilify the word,
Yeah.
or always has been. And sadly, on that note, I have to jump off. But it
All
was
right.
awesome to see you both.
Good to see you.
I'll watch the replay. See you
Yes,
later.
thank you so much for joining us.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, competition, huh? Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I'm kind of like Ben. I'm single. I never really thought of it, even though I played sport and growing up and in college. But like, yeah, you have it. It is part, I think, of just society in general to have it. It's
Mhm.
right with competition. But yeah, I don't think it's a bad thing or a good thing. It just depends, right? So it's about finding balance for you in
Yes.
competition with yourself, maybe not maybe necessarily with other people.
Hmm.
But you can probably find yourself getting into competition. I mean, look, you go on Instagram all day, you see other people, and
Yeah, there's some unhealthy.
how many followers does everybody have, and that kind of thing. So, I mean, I'm sure it's there a little bit, but it's not. It's not like the driving force, I guess you could say. I guess
True.
it's your ultimate why, but it would competition wouldn't be my ultimate why in terms of that. But
True.
um, maybe if I was in my 20s, you know, but
Yeah.
but not, now in my 40s. I'm not like I don't even think about that. It's just kind of
Yeah. You're in your 40s?
yeah, man.
Really?
Yeah, 42.
There you go.
Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah,
Who knew? Yeah.
but I think like maybe that's what it is with competition. Maybe it's like really there when you're in your 20s, and then it starts to like level off as you get to like 30s. You still got it, because you're in the work.
Yeah.
And then as you get a little bit older, it might start to drop. So maybe it's like the
Right.
thing, competition.
Yeah. 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 Maybe. Yeah. Or just like like old basketball players, like you start playing smarter instead of harder.
Right.
Like.
Yeah. Like I'm a Michael Jordan guy, so like to me, like that, the way he was, I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, that's how I grew up. Like
Yeah. Yes.
mentality. So, but then it's like, all right, at some point you gotta. Even Michael Jordan's kind of calmed down now. Like
Yes. Yes.
get back down. So
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, I think it's good in some ways. In some ways, it can be bad, right? Like anything else.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I'm not gonna hold you hostage on your day, but can you just talk about your book again, man? I'm forever just pushing this like it came out yesterday. So,
Appreciate it. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, man. Like so, yeah. The Adventures of Frankie Fitness. Frankie does Pilates. It's been out for a few months now, since what, last year?
last year.
Year, I think. Yeah, so kids book, coloring book as well. It's got Pilates exercises for kids. It's a storyline book as well. Yeah, it was a fun book to kind of just collaborate with like other people, get ideas from, since over the pandemic last year. And um, yeah, it was cool to kind of do that at Momentum Fest and also Black Girls Pilates. That was a really fun event
Oh,
last,
good. Yeah.
I believe. I got to read that and do a class, with all of them. So it's been fun. It's fun now to get back into working more with it now that we can kind of be in person. Yeah, that's like my favorite part there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I have to say my favorite part is the page I just showed a second ago, where it's like, can dads go
Yeah.
to this Pilates class too?
Yeah.
Yes, they can.
Yeah.
So that's what's up right there.
Yeah. And yeah, I kind of want, hopefully, yeah, like, kind of convey all that in there that guys can do it,
Mhm.
but and it can be hard, right? A little bit,
Yep.
And it's not just like something like people think it's easy, and
Yes.
um,
Yeah, that's right. I forgot. Like, dad's all sweating up a storm at the end of it.
yeah, yeah,
That's funny.
yeah,
Oh yeah, yeah. He's
yeah,
like
yeah,
busted.
yeah,
So that was me after my first Pilates class, and
oh,
that's
really?
why I'm
Yeah,
here today. So yes.
yeah. butt kicked my first time I ever did. I got reformer. I was like, whoa, what is this?
What is this?
Yeah.
Yes. Awesome, man. So yeah, I love that you're doing that. And like, even like my guest tomorrow, Maestro Fresh West, has this whole book on like stick to your vision. And it talks about him and just being nervous about getting to a speaking competition.
Uh-huh.
And beautifully illustrated. Look at that.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Anyway, I just love supporting people doing their thing and expressing themselves in a different way. At that intersection of what we do and all these different things that we're good at. So cool, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Hold space. I appreciate it.
Yes, my pleasure. All right. Yeah, so this is our freestyle, man. So if you gotta go, like, feel free to just jump off. I'm gonna let some other people join us here, and I'd love to hear some more stories from people. So thank you so much, Jason.
No, thank you.
Awesome, man. All right, we'll talk.
Cool.
All right. All right. Custom chords. Tammy, the new Cali, how are you all doing? I'd love for you, one or all of you, to join me on screen. I'd like to hear who inspired you to move. How did you get into this fitness movement thing? Jason just shared his story of a guy at a gym that inspired him, Benjamin as well, the good feeling of being with some of his teachers, and wanting to allow other people to experience that same great feeling within their body. So two similar but different stories of what inspired them to move. I shared mine last week, so I'd love to hear some of your stories as well. Yes, actually, a few people started with spinning. It's interesting with spinning too because that is such a like rounded out workout that like Pilates is quite the opposite, just opening up and making you feel good in the opposite position. So one of my, this is my whole moving weekends getting at me. One of my friends who owned a studio always would put her spin classes and then have a Pilates class right after a spin class on the schedule, wherever it was, so that people would just walk out of spin and right into Pilates. And that would always have them like closed out and then open up. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, and Tammy, if you want to join me on the screen, you're more than welcome to just hit that request to join, or I can bring you on. Anyone else wanted to share, like what inspired you to move? Who was the first person that inspired you to think I should be doing this for a living? And while just waiting for those responses too, I can just also share even the piece about me coming into personal training. One of my colleagues or old friends from high school was a personal trainer, and I was like, this is a job? Like you just get to like work out with people all day? Did my certifications and did the learning, and I'm gonna bring Tammy on right now. Yeah, and it was and that's what got me going with it. Like it's just that sense of, are you kidding me? This is actually a job. Didn't know. And go, and on. Okay, let's do this. Send request. Okay, I sent you a request there, Tammy.
Hello.
Hey, there.
So I may have a visitor with us, and his name is Reed. He's right here next to me.
Hi, Reed. R-E-I-D,
ID?
like my last name. Amazing.
Exactly.
Nice.
So you want to know what inspired me to get into fitness? For many, many years, I actually had a dual career.
Okay.
And I worked full time, and I did fitness on the side. So I started first with spinning, and then I taught yoga in the gym setting before it was even popular. And so I used to teach something I did, and like you were talking about your friend, and she would teach teach spinning first and then Pilates. I also taught yoga for a long, long time. And so I used to do something I called a yoga ride. And so we would do the first half the class would be spinning, and then we would end with like yoga.
Very
and so I did the dual career for probably, and I don't think I'd be exaggerating, probably more than 30 years. So I did a long, long time. And so right before
just
COVID,
like do your office job and then just like run off, teach your classes, and then run back, sort of thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then I also taught early childhood education classes for our local university, which is how I became, and then I also worked for a nonprofit, which is how I became so involved in all of the trauma stuff. So, and we can talk more about that. So, and it kind of all evolved into everything came together. So, but yeah. And did you hold up children's books in the beginning? I got distracted.
Yes, I did. So Jason Williams, the guy who was on a minute ago, has a Pilates book for children called Frankie Adventures of Frankie Fitness.
Okay, I don't have that one because I also taught for years. I taught yoga for children, and I actually did teacher training. And so prior to like the Trauma Informed for adults, I have one. But I have a lot of books like that. I'm going to have to find that because I don't have that one. I'm excited about it.
Okay, yes, I'll put it in the chat. Here. Just go to @Frankie Fitness.
Oh, I'll figure Frankie out. I have a granddaughter and her name is Frankie, so I'll remember that.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I think that the world of fitness is so evolved, and especially as long as you've done it, that there's space, because you were talking about competition before.
Yes.
And I think when you find a niche, for me at least, it's been in the area. I live in Michigan, about maybe 60 miles north, and there's no Pilates studios where I am. So
yes.
So people seek me out based on, a few things. So, but so I don't know. And now you're in Canada. Where?
I'm in Mississauga, just outside of Toronto. So
you're north of Toronto then, aren't you?
I'm west of Toronto, actually.
Oh, west. Okay.
Yeah, so closer to you, actually. And I've been to Detroit to go to Kevin Studio Pilates, Dwell, Brenda Freeman, and the other one is Pilates Method. So those three.
Brenda Freeman. Now, do you know Trent McIntyre?
Yes, I've had him on the show as well. Yes.
Yeah, I saw that recently. But I did a lot of training with Trent. But I did Stott and I did Balanced Body before I found Trent, and so I worked with Trent for a long time and still work with him. So. Okay,
yeah, he was brilliant. I really enjoyed that conversation. Just around like that really brought me back to my story. To tell you the truth, like we spent a lot of time talking about that.
Yeah,
Sarah Joy is in Canada too. I didn't know that.
Is she?
Yes. Very cool.
I used to vacation in Canada a long time. It's a long story, but I used to north of Toronto, in the Georgian Bay area.
Beautiful. Yeah, it's a great area.
It's beautiful up there. So yes. So
yes, I'd love to have Sarah Joy on as well at some point. Get some Pilates people in here.
Yeah.
So Trent, and then like what you say about competition too. Like once we have, like Benjamin was saying, our competition, when we understand our niche and who we are and how we communicate to our people, that makes it such that there isn't really a competition, because there's enough people for everybody, so we can all do our thing, right? So it doesn't have to be a vilified or de-vilified thing.
No, I also think, well, at least in the area where I live, there's a lot of yoga studios, and so there's a lot of misconceptions behind what is Pilates, and I have to be really, people think that yoga is just another methodology, at least here. I mean, it's getting better, but so
yes. So how do you just describe it? And for people in the chat too, I'd be interested to hear. Like if you're walking down the street and someone says, "What do you do?"
I teach Pilates, and usually I say it's more individual. Like it's definitely, like if you do a comparison and contrast to yoga, there's a
Yes.
spirituality to yoga, whereas with Pilates, it's the mind body connection, but it's not
Connection.
it's not necessarily the spirituality pieces of it. I
Mhm.
also like to say that it's more, the classes are definitely much smaller size, and people
Yes.
who needs more individualized attention is what I like to do more one-on-one or two-on-one. I teach some
Yes.
mat classes online, but in the studio. So
Just just privates and just really
yeah,
get people to feel it in their body and own
right.
it. Yeah. No, I feel you. Yeah. So are you on kid duty all day today for
You
oh
know
you
what?
didn't have a
I
holiday.
I actually I've been with him since he's now he's over 2, and so at the end of August I no longer will be with him on Monday. So I've been working with him. I shouldn't say working with him, but it's by my choice. I mean,
Yeah.
I left my full-time job right before COVID hit. So my intention was to just teach Pilates, right?
Yeah.
And it's morphed into a whole nother realm for me. Whole nother realm.
Yes. You're not alone.
Oh, I know. So
Amazing. Well, thanks for jumping on.
thanks for having me. I appreciate it. So I'll talk to you
Yeah.
next week.
All
So
right.
all right,
Looking forward to it.
thanks. Thanks.
All
Bye.
right. Just press the X there and
Do I
that should
have to?
get you. Yeah, if I press it, then it ends the whole broadcast. So I think you have to
There's
press.
not an X. There's a I'll push the X up in the corner and I'll come back on.
Yeah, I think that's the one.
All right.
That is great. So yes, Sarah, would you like to join me or explore Pilates? Anita or Nikki, Love Movement Pilates. Any or all of you want to join me on screen? We're just talking about who inspired us first in our Pilates or movement in general, fitness. If you're not a Pilates person, who inspired you to become the fitness professional that you are? Hi, Allison. All right. Okay, so Sarah Joy, I'm going to bring her on. Explorer Pilates. Anita, if you want to join us, just request to join when you're in a good location, and we'll do it. Sorry, I'm sore from lifting boxes. Audima's in the house.
Hello. How are you?
Great, how are you?
I'm great, thank you. This is so awesome. I love that you guys are doing this.
Oh yeah, no, thanks for jumping on.
Thank you so much.
So this is like total raw conversation. So are you a Pilates person? Or are you like what
I
is it you
am
do?
not. I am
Okay.
not. I do so I do healing movement. So
Okay.
it's basically helping people connect with their mind, their emotions,
Yes.
even like spiritually like connecting with God, like
Hmm.
through movement. So getting to know themselves, getting to deal with trauma and past experiences and it's been really, really good. I've been doing this for about like I guess I could say like 2 years,
Okay.
two close to 3 years. So
Hmm.
I've done that for different like nonprofit organizations. And then right before COVID, I started my business, and then yeah,
Yes.
COVID hit.
Right.
So my
Welcome.
business never really launched,
Yes.
and because I was just in the beginning of it, so I was just doing like free events and free like
Mhm.
one-on-one sessions with people and things like that, just to really kind of build it up. But that's what I've been doing, and now I also do that for like an organization, for my workplace that has like different activities in the summer. So I
Yes.
do that with the youth as well and other nonprofit organizations. So
There you go. So
yeah.
Tammy's there cheering you on now as you were cheering her on a minute ago.
Yeah, so I love this stuff, and it's nice. You get to see how people like think about their life in a different way. Um,
Yes.
Yeah, the last thing we did, the last activity, we were talking about anxiety. So I was like, okay, guys, like let's see how anxiety like manifests itself like in your body. Let's tiptoe around the room and show me how you experience COVID and like how you experience anxiety. You know, like tiptoeing around the room. How did you approach situations when you were anxious? And it was interesting to see. People were kind of like, okay, like they were walking confidently and then they would start tiptoeing, thinking about when I'm around this person or that person, I don't feel as confident to approach them. So I'm tiptoeing a little more compared to like when I'm just going to the mall, you know? So little things like that. So anyways, this is some of the stuff that we do out here in Ottawa.
There you go. So you've been doing it for 2 years. So how did you find this movement practice, so to speak?
So funny enough, so I've always danced.
Okay.
And then I became a Christian, and then like my dance had more of a meaning to me. But then in university, I was studying social work, and there was like the social work week, and then I saw on the schedule of the activities there was movement therapist that was coming to do activities, and I said, what is that? I have never heard of this. Like, this sounds like a dream come true. Like, what is a dance movement therapist? So I attended the activity, and we did activities that were mind-blowing to me. And it was just, an hour? But that shifted my life forever. And I said, I need to continue doing this. I need to, like, pursue this for myself and see how other people can be impacted. That it's not just about, like, dance, having fun, or just, you know, like, you have to be professionally trained, because I've done those studies in school. I've written papers about like how when it comes to dance and movement, people feel like they need to be a specific type of person to do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, I'm not a dancer. I'm not a dancer, but it's like there's so much more to movement than actually being like a professionally trained dancer. So I wanted to really explore that and help people explore that for themselves too, so that they could connect with their body in a new way. So yeah.
So do you take a certification course? Was it like what was the actual education to get to that?
So I actually did, so I had my personal education where I did like social work and psychology. I did women and gender studies, sociology. So I have my degrees in that. But also I did another training for a dance teacher certificate, but it had a spiritual side to it. So that we were also trained to help people deal with their emotions through dance and movement and stuff like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, were you on when Benjamin Jurgenhart was on?
No, I missed that.
Okay, yeah, he was on just before you, and he was saying that when I asked the same question, coming from the dance background, being exposed to some Pilates teachers, and how it healed his body and how he felt just freedom in his body he hadn't felt before. And those are the things that made him feel so good that he wanted to share that with others. And that's what kind of inspired him to become a teacher. So you're saying the same thing through a different vehicle, venue, language sort of thing. So I think that is an inspiring kind of approaches. Like, I felt good in my body, or this changed my life, and I want to create that same moment for other people.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
There's a comment here from Pilates Bunhead. Movement heals the mind and body. I love this. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the whole thing about movement too, that's the reason why I changed my title from like sport conditioning specialist, personal trainer, even Pilates coach. I dropped all of them and just called it a movement specialist.
Yes, I love that.
You know,
I didn't. Thank you so much for saying that, actually, because when I was starting, I didn't know what to call myself. I was like, okay, what am I supposed to say?
What?
Like,
exactly.
Right? Because I also do like the fitness, like Afro dance fitness and things like that. I'm also into that. I do worship dance, like different things like that, like contemporary and hip hop and whatnot. So it's like, okay, what are we gonna call ourselves here? Like, what
How do we
is it?
capture all of this?
Exactly. So like it doesn't put you in a box either.
Yeah.
And my sister-in-law, she came up with healing movement specialist.
Okay.
And like at the beginning I was like, yo, this is so great. I love this. But then I'm like, how do you really like how can I, like, is that something that people are familiar with? Like,
Mm,
is it something people understand? And I love that you're bringing up that you've called yourself a movement specialist. Now it's making sense. It's like, yeah, it is a thing. It is a
yes.
thing.
Yes, absolutely. And Soul Bodywork said, awesome. I added MP to my title last year, movement professional. Right. So I mean, so ultimately, I used it because I wanted it to just be something that captures what I do because I also have like a counseling background. So maybe
Yeah.
the movement that we need is an emotional movement from a place of being stuck to unstuck. Or maybe you need movement because you're an athlete and you want to improve your performance. Or maybe you need movement because you're injured and you want to be able to move, right? Like, so that caught it all, but it still comes down to what is your actual elevator pitch. So when someone bumps into you on the street and they say, what do you do? How do you summarize all of these amazing things that you're doing
Yeah.
in 13 seconds, right? Before they walk away. So
That's a
that's the
challenge.
piece that I'm always trying to craft. And that's the piece that I'll throw it to you if you want to give it a shot. Hi, Maria.
Please don't. I was
And
gonna ask you, can you tell me how you present it? Like that would really help me, like to hear
sure.
it from someone else.
So my elevator pitch, I'm making this up on the spot because I really don't have one like perfectly polished.
Cool.
But I usually open with just saying, depending on what they do, I would say I'm a movement specialist, or I may say I'm a Pilates. I teach Pilates, or I own a Pilates studio, and because I want to get to saying it's great for your core strength. If you're an athlete, it'll make you stronger in your weakest links. It'll help with your posture. It'll help with your core, right? So I want to just kind of hit on some of those talking points based on where the person is at.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yes, that elevator pitch piece is the key part. So I always say, because my main niche or target market is men, introducing men to Pilates. So that's
Right.
usually where I would say, like, this is something that's going to make you strongest in your weakest links. And this is, something that is going to help improve your posture and your overall quality of life. So I run with the Pilates piece of the movement specialist.
Nice. That's
Mm-hmm.
awesome. Thank
Just,
you.
yeah, no problem. So, I mean, but think about it, even within your niche, do you distill that down one more level to the thing that you're most passionate about? Because I know for myself here with this Pilates studio, I really try and focus on Pilates, and I really try to focus on that one piece, even though I do personal training and I do, online classes and I do these core conversations, I do, stuff with the shopping channel or whatever. Like, there's a lot of stuff that I do, but this is the thing that I'm most passionate about. And people will come for the other stuff, but I want people to know this piece of my message or this piece of my story.
Mm-hmm.
So in those in the chat too, like Explore Pilates, thinking. Martin, you always get us thinking, LOL. So what is a piece of your story that you want to lead with, right? And what is your
Mm-hmm.
elevator pitch around that piece of your story?
Mm-hmm. I like that. I like that. For me, I would definitely say it's like helping people heal through movement. Because
Yes,
everybody needs healing from on one way or another, from one thing or another, whether it's
yes.
a bad breakup or it's like
Hmm.
trauma from your childhood, or it's just the fact that you're having a hard time at work dealing with the stress.
Yes,
Everybody needs healing. So how are we going to heal using movement? And I help people connect with their mind, their
yes,
emotions, everything. Connect basically with their soul, right?
yes,
Through movement and understanding themselves if they're having a hard time understanding themselves in that season. So
yes.
yeah.
I love that. And now you said, right, it's funny, I was going to say that, like, Soul Bodywork said, yes, healing through movement. And before I asked you the question about what your elevator pitch is, that's actually what you said right at the beginning, right?
Yeah.
So subconsciously you had it ready. It's just when I put you on the spot, you had to think harder about it. I love that though. Thank you so much. I love the fact you just jumped on and just joined us. This is like total cold, perfect stranger conversation. Like, this is
Yeah,
what we
I
do.
love it. And I literally never do this. Like, I never do this. So I saw the conversation. I'm like, oh, this is great. I'm loving this. I'm so happy to be here. This is so random. And then you're like, who wants to come on? I'm like, why not?
Like
Why
me.
not? This is community, right?
Thank you. Well
This is
said.
community.
Happy Emancipation Day, Canada person.
Hey, Canada, man. Good stuff.
Yes.
I like being here. I really, really like being here. And I hope I get to meet you one day. I'm gonna follow
Yes.
you. So if there's anything else happening, like if I have to go to Mississauga, I'll go to
Yes. Get your
Mississauga.
Pilates on. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Do you have any online classes, anything going on that we can support you in? Any workshops, anything coming up?
Not at the moment. I'm just
Okay,
doing
cool.
things like in person in the community.
All right.
And like once I really reopen, relaunch, because this
Yes.
COVID really hit me hard. Once I relaunch fully, then I will do that. And it will be called like it was called and will continue to be called Pure Movement
Pure
because I
movement.
found that when
Love it.
people are moving, they're at their like most vulnerable and pure state. Like there's
Yes.
nothing that's hindering them from being themselves and being free. So yeah, so I'll keep people updated with
Yes.
that.
I'll totally repost anything you got going on. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right.
All
So
right. Thanks
just
for
yeah,
having me.
you gotta press that X to get out there, and I think we're good to
Right.
go. Thank you so
Perfect.
much. All right, Sarah.
Thank you. Bye.
Healing through movement. Amy, how are you? Explore Pilates. Are you good to go? You want to come on? And Amy, actually, the question I was asking is who inspired you to movement? And while you guys are coming on, I'm going to talk about this book. This book is, oh, she's set up. Okay, awesome. Talk about this real quick. So this is Wes Williams and Redora. So for those of you who grew up in the 80s and 90s like me, you would know, if you're in Canada, you know of Maestro Fresh Wes and his songs like Let Your Backbone Slide, Stick to Your Vision. And he has this fantastic book that just came out. And I am just read it, and he's going to be my guest tomorrow. We're going to talk about our vision, those who inspired us. And this really inspired our conversation for today, this children's book. So I want to unpack this a little bit more tomorrow, but if you just want to check that out, in the same way Jason's book is out, we have some amazing people doing many things. And yeah, that's what's up with that. Okay, let's get Anita on. And yeah. And anyone else would like to join us, please jump on to our request to join and we'll get it going.
Cool.
Hey, how are you?
Hello.
Hi. Good to finally meet you and chat with you.
Yes. I was in a waiting room, so I thought, oh, maybe I should like pick up all my gear and run outside where I would not be like talking in everyone's ear.
That's too funny. Where are you located again? I can't remember.
I'm in Bloomington, Indiana, but I'm actually from not that far from you. I'm from London, Ontario.
No way.
Yeah. I was born, raised, and educated. I went to Western in the Faculty of Music. So,
okay. There you go.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, thanks for jumping on. I don't want to keep you if you're sitting and waiting.
Thanks for inviting me. Yeah.
Who inspired you to move it? Like, who was the first person that made you think, okay, I could totally do this as a job?
Well, movement has always been a part of my life. I kind of grew up as a pianist, but I had done as a young girl a little bit of ballet, a little bit of tap, a little bit of gymnastics. And the gymnastics I was not that crazy about, but I loved floor. So I just had this affinity for working on the mat. And it's something that like even my mother would work out and I would work out alongside her. And it was just the stuff that she did was a lot of, she was doing this between pregnancies because my brother and sister are quite a bit younger than me. So I was about 9, 10, and she was kind of, melt away the baby belly.
Yeah.
And it was, I noticed that the exercises that she did on the floor, again, were the ones that attracted me the most. So that's just been my affinity. I was a musician for a long time. That's why I came to Bloomington as a graduate student in the music school. And then I came, though, with this very fixed, very set idea that I wanted to do academic courses in Spanish. So I ended up doing a doctorate after a PhD. And it's a lot of stuff that keeps you sitting, and there's a lot of like cerebral stuff.
Yes.
But it's also very physical. Like it takes a lot of physical strength to sit and push through, to slog through stuff.
Yes. Right.
So, but I needed the counterpart of like, I always worked out. I always went to the gym. I always did my floor routine. And when Pilates exploded and I would hear my classmates talking about Pilates, I was a little bit perplexed because I thought, well, like it sounds like I'm doing something similar at home. And I had just kind of cobbled together my own sequence of about 30 exercises, and I was good with that. And I could use that at will, like if I wanted to maintain something, then I could just continue doing that, and I could go for my runs. If I wanted to really change the shape of my body, I could also pull that out. It was adaptable. It was an adaptable system. And so, so that's always been a piece of it. I think the big piece, I really went deep. I dove deep into Pilates when I was pregnant, and it started like my pregnancy journey was like, things you're not supposed to do when you're trying to get pregnant when you're over 35, right?
Right.
Running is the first thing that goes out. And so I was like, well, what can I do to keep in shape? Because I really like moving.
Yes.
And Pilates was one of the things that was suggested. So I guess to make a long story short, it's just something that I had always done. I'd always had these two pieces of studying and moving. And
yes.
Pilates just kind of presented itself at that juncture when I was trying to get pregnant and I was over 35. And then it was just something like that was something to look forward to after I'd given birth. Like, when can I jump back into Pilates again? Because it was something that, since I could do it before and during pregnancy, like I was looking forward to the benefits of it again postpartum.
Yes. Right.
So,
when you could really challenge your body because you're not concerned about delivering a baby or whatever, right? Like,
Yeah, or the recovery process, like just saying, yes. I can feel good again. And it was always like, I think for me, that the light bulb went off when I realized, like, I feel the same amount of relief that I did from going to massage and acupuncture.
Yes.
And it was something that, like, if I could learn to do some of these movements on my own, I've just saved myself $85. Right?
Thank you.
Are we speaking the same language?
Yes, totally. I mean, and that was part of it for me with chiro as a student, paying for a chiropractor 3 times a week, and then realizing that I was feeling better doing Pilates, which is like free because it was included with my membership.
Yeah.
It wasn't even like apparatus; it was just like mat work, and it was like I was feeling awesome. How much more with the equipment behind me now, right? So, So my question then is, like, has it become some sort of a niche for you as well, like pre-postnatal and stuff, or are you just over it now that your kids are?
That's been an evolution, because when I got my first certification postpartum, pretty soon postpartum, and so I was like, yeah, I'm ready to go. And then as the years went by, I had a little bit of burnout myself as a mom, and I was like, in hindsight, I should have used that first year to rest. And so I was like, not really interested in selling postpartum anymore.
Or anything, I'm sure.
Right? Like, enjoy your pregnancy, enjoy, good luck with the birth, and then have fun, relaxing and getting to know your new family, your new body. And maybe, I'm sort of coming back to that again. Like, no, there is a way to move. It doesn't have to be a classical mat at the advanced level, but there are ways, we break down the exercises. You can get similar benefits, and we can weave in. Hey, Carrie.
Yes, I know.
We can weave in functional movement, some stretching, beneficial stretching that's dynamic and movement-based rather than holding stretches, so that you still get the joy of movement. You get the healing benefits of it. You feel good, and you feel ready to go about your day, but you haven't broken your body down even more.
Yes.
Which is, like, the rest component is so key. And I think that we all have a tendency to rush through that, especially if you're looking forward to moving again.
Yes.
So, Yeah.
Well said. I agree with that 100%. Simply because like you gave permission for people to rest. We get into a place where we think,
Yeah.
you know, take no days off, drive, like, you know, that sort of thing. And
Yeah.
you know, and we're fitness professionals. We're supposed to be fit enough to be able to just do this all day long. But I think that, you know,
Yeah.
giving us permission to rest is key.
Well, yeah. And what if no days off means count your rest days? Count your rest days. Count the day where you just sit and take a breath and just say, well, thank God for this new day. You know?
Yes.
That could be your movement for the day. Like you just, because we're breath based. So if you're just breathing and breathing that all out, like that takes work too. That's where we're basing our movement off of. So.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's like full circle to, and Sarah was like, yes, that's it. Permission to rest.
What Sarah said. Yeah.
Yes. But if we're breathing based and there are other ways to move and all those different things, then I think that's exactly why I call myself a movement specialist, because you can now train every single day of the week. And if our training today is breathing and just a gentle movement, that counts just as much as a day that we're doing squats and deadlifts. And that counts just as much as a day that we're doing reformer work or tower work, right? Like it all counts because it's all movement.
Yeah. I will say, like you asked about the niche, I do, for the last year, I've been defining it as moms and musicians, and I find that I connect with them, you know, like moms who are a few years in the postpartum, like they're kind of in the madness of picking up toys and kind of thing, and sort of saying like, you know, but their body has definitely healed, like they are well beyond the 12 months postpartum. So they've got, you know, the muscles have started to come back, and the effects of the hormones of pregnancy have sort of calmed down.
Stabilized.
So, that's the group. And I find that like also working with musicians, when we do the breath work, I also bring in little bits of mental practice, like in visualizing or like mentally going into the space of enjoying the music as you're doing the breath work. And that's been a lot of fun.
That's fascinating. I love hearing those different niches, because that is so far from what I do. I'm like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So I can just, like,
I mean, and it's so funny because we're doing the same exercises. You know, we're probably doing the same workouts.
Right. Exactly. But
we're coming at it from different, because it's like a multifaceted diamond, and it's like I can just shine my facet while you shine your facet. Same work.
Absolutely. So my guest tomorrow is a musician who's written a book, and I've had a DJ in the past, and he was talking about like his passion and for movement and getting people to move and giving them a space to check out of life and just check into themselves and just enjoy. And it's so funny that whether we're talking about music, a DJ, a rapper, whatever it is, or Pilates, and then you're layering in the music, all these things are things that help us to move and to get out of our context and get into our bodies. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. So who's a musician who does Pilates, or?
You and Maestro Fresh West is tomorrow. London. I was like, okay, a London person might get it. Anyway, yeah. So he's maybe I'm gonna put some of his music on next, like after this live. So he has a fantastic book. It like almost brought tears to my eyes, honestly, because he's a Toronto guy. This is a book, Stick to Your Vision, and Rodora Vanderpool is the co-author, and she's a high school friend of mine. So in this book, you can hear through the language that Toronto sound and that Mississauga sound.
Okay.
And that experience, that I'm reading this child's experience, I'm like, yeah, I've been there. Like, I hear
did you grow up in Canada, or did you?
I did. Yeah, I was born in Toronto and raised in Mississauga. And
I live in Mississauga right now, so. Look at this, the different colors of Ontario.
Right? Yes. Yes, exactly. And Sarah's from
Canada.
Yeah. And then Sarah,
Awesome.
who's just on a minute, goes from Ottawa, and
Yeah.
you're a Londonite.
Hmm. Yeah. Before I jump off, I just wanted to add, like, circling back to Sarah's, her words made me think of like how movement, what our goal is. Like, as long as we're alive and as long as we're living, we strive to move, really. Like, that's
Yes.
how we, and it seems like such a banal statement, but it's such a simple and profound experience. And I think maybe as we get older, we realize, wow, like how key movement is to feeling alive. Like, and
Yes.
sometimes we literally slow down. And if we're like, if our bodies, how's that? If we give into the slowing down of our bodies, thinking
Yes.
that that's age appropriate, we're doing ourselves a disservice, because there are parts of us that need to be woken up by moving. And sometimes it's
Yes.
just as simple as like, just sitting in the chair going, yeah, I'm listening to this music and
Right.
enjoying it. And it can just be that, and it gets the vibrations going and
Yes.
gets you closer to experiencing that joy, which is the goal of movement and music and literature and language. I think it's all
Amazing.
connected. Yeah.
I think you know your stuff.
I enjoy my stuff. Let's put it that way.
Yes. Well, and
I enjoy
the reason why I say it that way is simply because, like I said at the beginning, that permission to give rest. When we understand what we're passionate about and we're employing those things, then we speak as an authority to people, and we give them the permission to rest so they can work harder, and then know that they can stop, or that they can explore some other modality of movement. Like, we have the power to introduce people to those things. So that's a powerful thing. I don't take that for granted. I celebrate that every moment I have when I'm speaking with people who are passionate about their work and know really who they are in this work. Like, you have this real cool opportunity with music and Pilates and movements that I have with men who want to understand that Pilates can be for them, or that someone else can with their shtick, right? So the more that we understand that those different facets of that diamond, like you said, the better we are. So it's very good stuff. I'm looking forward to our full length conversation at some point. We'll get the extended
Would be
version.
awesome. Yeah.
Yes.
I'll be in Canada sometime soon, and I'll just wave at you from center of London. Not that far away.
That's a road trip. We should probably plan a coffee or something.
That would be fantastic. Yeah.
That's like 2 hours away from me. So.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Thank you for joining me.
We'll be in touch. Thank you.
Wow.
Bye-bye.
Bye. I just realized it's 11:02, so I have to run because I have a client coming in. But thank you, Carrie. It's so great having you. Sarah, thanks for joining us, and thanks for being part of our community. I do this every single day of the week. So, oh yes, what was her handle? So she was Explore Pilates. Right, where is her handle? And Maria Earl, so good to see you. Explore Pilates. Just putting it in the chat here. So yes, follow her, Sarah Joy. Follow me as well, please. And I'd love to have you on. So Explore Pilates, Sarah Joy, please reach out to me, or I'll reach out to you afterwards. And yes, look at all these people making friends in the chat. And we will do this again tomorrow. And I'd love to have you all join me for a full conversation. Coming up in the next couple of weeks, I have Brenda Freeman joining me, and we did a Pilates After Dark, Pilates, sex and Pilates conversation maybe last year sometime. And it comes back to movement, it comes back to postpartum, it comes back to men and sexual health and all these things. And she is a somatic sex educator and a Pilates instructor. So you do music, I do sports, she does sex. So let's talk about it. It was a great conversation last time. It really impacted the way that I teach and the things that I look for in the way that people move. And I hope that does the same for you. And she takes it in such a great way, out of a taboo to a real level conversation. That's probably my client right there. Thank you for joining us today. Join us tomorrow. Stick to your vision. Bam, he's coming on. And thank you to Jason Williams, Frankie This Fitness. Bam, right there. Please follow all these people. I'll put it in the chat. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Core Conversations. Peace out.